Why, hello there. This is Joe Broski09, and this is the first episode of my Dark Souls lore series. I admit I'm not the first to do this. The two channels I know of are linked in the description, Quelaag and ENB. Some of you might not know of Dark Souls, mainly my subscribers. I know it's a far fetch from Minecraft or any other gameplay or graphic design videos, but this is my new passion, and I hope you allow me to share it with you. Now to start off, I will talk about the single most important thing about Dark Souls, or any part of your life, really, okay? The pendant. No, I'm just kidding. That was for you, acidic. I'll actually start with the main introduction of the Dark Souls playthrough, and then I'll start my lore rant from there.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bullets peeled apart their stone skills. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. Seath, the scales, betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers, and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side.
Now this may seem like a lot to take in for those of you who haven't played the game. I agree. I advise you to stop listening now and go play this game, as well this video will have many spoilers. For those of you who want to keep listening, the reason I start with this introduction is because it is the beginning. And, well, the beginning is the best place to start with. Also, on a side note, I will try to keep the facts and speculation separate. So without further ado, let's talk about the Age of Ancients and the Dragons. Age of Ancients, the start of the world as we know it. There are many theories what this age really is, but all we really know is what they tell us. In the Age of Ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog, a land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. Then came fire. So, we know that it was essentially nothing until fire came and changed everything, but you know that's for a different video. For now, we know that the dragons were essentially wiped because of this. Well, how exactly? Well, Wormhero speculated that since dragons are resistant to fire, the only way the witches could have helped kill them would be after Gwyn's army peeled their skulls apart. But Rin speculated that the witches burned down the trees to burn down all the dragons' nests. But really the most important thing, and really the only thing we do know, is that it was the Psychoscalus that really finished the dragons off. The best place to experience what the Age of Ancients was like would be to travel to Ash Lake in-game. It's nearly completely empty, save for a few signs of ceased work. For example, the Black Hydra, the clams, the Mushroom Men. The only thing that's there that doesn't seem to be connected to the betrayer of his own kind would be the last everlasting dragon. This dragon is different from the ones you see throughout the rest of Lordran. The drakes down in the Valley of Drakes and the Bridge Wyvern, which is also a drake, doesn't look like the everlasting dragons you see in the introduction video, but this one does, except he is quote-unquote a hatchling. The biggest piece of evidence separating the drakes from the everlasting dragons comes from the drake sword's description. This sword, one of the rare dragon weapons, is formed by a drake's tail. The drakes are seen as undeveloped imitators of the dragons, but they are likely their distant kin. The sword is imbued with mystical power, to be released when holding the weapon in two hands. The main point I see in this description is that the drakes have magical attributes as well. The Bridge Wyvern is weak to electricity and strong against magic, just like the everlasting dragons. This weapon is the only dragon weapon in-game that comes from a drake, and it comes from the biggest drake we see, the Bridge Wyvern. The mystical power it mentions, of course, is a two-handed strong attack that makes taking down the Hollow and Mage at the top of the Undead Church a frickin' breeze. There are other rare dragon weapons in the game that give us some pretty great insight to what the dragons used to be. The Demon King Great Axe. This axe, one of the rare dragon weapons, is formed by the tail of the Gaping Dragon, a distant, deformed descendant of the everlasting dragons. This axe is imbued with a mystical power, to be released when held with both hands. Now, information on the Gaping Dragon was released in an interview with one of the developers. He explained this dragon as a dragon filled with hunger, a hunger to consume. This need to consume everything around it took over and transformed it, opening up its stomach, replacing most of its organs with a giant mouth with many teeth. What's strange is that the developer described it as a dragon as if it was an everlasting dragon that became transformed. But the description of the Dragon King Great Axe describes the Gaping Dragon as a deformed descendant. So this dragon was not one of the everlasting dragons, but most likely some kind of dragon other than a drake. Sadly, we have no idea what dragon it was originally because of its extreme disformation, but we do know that the Gaping Dragon has special attributes similar to the everlasting dragons. Weak against gold pine resin and the god of war's miracles, but strong against magic and flame. Another strange thing, Dragon King Great Axe? Why put king there? Perhaps he was once one of a king of the dragons, but his greed consumed him and he was banished to the depth, forever to hunger for more. I don't know, let me know of your thoughts in the comments. Dragon Tooth, created from an everlasting dragon tooth. Legendary great hammer of Havel the Rock. The tooth will never break as it is harder than stone, and it grants its wielders resistance to magic and flame. Wow, that's really hard to say. First off, let me say, I love this item description, and in a way I hate it. It lets us know that the dragons were harder than stone, and that the wielder doesn't have any super special power. They have more defense. What? The only dragon weapon from a fully fledged everlasting dragon doesn't grant a special attack? Well, what does this imply? Well, there's no way to use this tooth as a way to bite an enemy, so there's no way a humanoid can use the special attack, if that was it. But I know teeth aren't supposed to have defensive properties usually. That implies that the fully grown dragons had more defense than attack. Maybe the everlasting dragons of old didn't need to attack, and when something else had enough power to overcome the dragon's defense, they had few ways to fight back. Or maybe it's simply a tooth and not a tail. Props to Acidic Cook on this next piece of observation. I'm expanding on it. Dragons are strong against everything except lightning. Thus, Gwyn pretty much hit him hard. But Seath, the true and final reasons the dragons were no more, specializes in magic. Dragons are strong against magic. What the heck? Also, there are lightning drakes in the Valley of Drakes. The Bridge Wyvern breathes fire and drops the Drake Sword, which implies that the Bridge Wyvern is a true drake. But the only thing that labels the drakes in the valley is the fact that it's called Valley of the Drakes. but they dropped dragon scales. Seath is famous for creating new species. What if he created the lightning drakes by combining scales in something that made them lightning-based? Tell me what you think in the comments. Another point in the description of the dragon tooth gives us is the fact that the old dragons were harder than stone. Well, how can they be harder than stone? Well, some speculation on the forums describes the dragons as part of nature. They didn't move much, they were harder than stone, and they were immortal. Sounds like nature to me. And there's one more thing about the everlasting dragons. Thanks to Rin and Wyrmharrow again for this one. I had speculated that the everlasting dragons didn't breathe fire because, well, how could they when there was no flame? They had speculated that the dragons breathe fire because the tooth of a dragon shows that it has more defense to fire. There's proof for both sides, and it is all speculation really, since the only everlasting dragon in our world doesn't do much. Again, let your speculations run wild in the comment section. Dragon Greatsword. This sword, one of the rare dragon weapons, came from the tail of the stone dragon of Ash Lake, descendant of the ancient dragons. Its great mystical power will be unleashed when wielded with two hands. This dragon is an everlasting dragon child, still descendant but a direct one. If we were to look at this from the dragons are part of nature theory, I don't think how nature could have a baby counterpart. Yeah, there are baby trees and so on, but the dragons are compared to stone. So, they may just be a race that's harder than stone. Moving on. To better explain this dragon, and what it's all about, let's talk about the next description. Dragon Scale. Dragon Scale for reinforcing dragon weapons, peeled from an ancient dragon. A dragon is inseparable from its scales, and the transcendent apostles who seek the perpetuity of the ancient dragons have crossed the very end of the earth to seek this invaluable treasure. So, who are these transcendent apostles? They are the followers of the dragons. They are the worshippers of these dragons, or rather, dragon, since there's only one left. The word transcendent means, in theological terms, transcending the universe or time. These apostles of this last dragon, in theory, could transcend the universe or time, which is completely true. The time in Dark Souls is distorted and can't be defined. The followers of the dragon, or in other words, the members of the Dragon Covenant, can invade other worlds and take other dragon scales from others. Who are these others? Other users. That's right. If you're playing Dark Souls and you're human, and if you have a dragon scale in your inventory, you can definitely be invaded by one of these transcendent apostles. But Dark Wraiths can do the same exact thing, but to everyone. So, props to Shkar for pointing this out. The more likely definition of transcendent would be going beyond ordinary limits, surpassing, exceeding. As in, they surpass the normal human boundaries by transforming into dragon humanoids. Another way this scale describes the members of this covenant is that they seek the perpetuity of the ancient dragons. The members seek to be immortal. Who else does this? Seath. Just saying, just saying. The members of this covenant can also transform themselves into a humanoid dragon until death, giving them the hard skin of the dragon and the ability to breathe fire as well as do more damage. To do this, they use dragon stones, the dragon headstone and the dragon torso stone. These stones' descriptions state that using the stone is an ancient rite of the first step towards becoming a dragon, and cannot be reversed until death. What is the next step? We don't know. It's not possible to become a full-fledged dragon in this game. But that would be awesome. Now, let's end this up with a dragon I know least about. What everyone calls the undead dragon. Now, I have no idea if dragons can be affected by the undead curse that's supposed to be affecting humans, but that's their name, because they're frickin' zombie dragons. We find two whole ones within the game that I know of. The one in the Valley of the Drakes, that one-shots anyone who doesn't see all the items in front of it as a trap, and the other one is in the painted world of Ariamis, that, again, has items in front of it as a trap. That one's frickin' scary, the way it pops out and just sprints at you. The reason I say whole is because I believe we see a lot, and I mean a lot, of the bottom half of undead dragons. Where? In Lost Izalith. What? Well, what's in Lost Izalith? Demons. In fact, the only enemies in Lost Izalith are demons other than, seemingly, the undead dragons. So from here on out, this is my speculation. What if the undead curse didn't affect dragons, but the demon transformation does, but in a horrible, horrible way. It turns them into a poisonous dragon. We see poison all over pyromancy from Angie, if I'm saying that right. He's the one responsible for the poison in Blighttown, and we see acid can come from chaos since those worm demon things spew acid like no other. There's also a small connection in that you find an undead dragon in the painted world Ariamis, you find a pyromancer who invades you, and you find acid surge there. I don't know what all this means, and sadly I'm running out of time, so run loose in the comments and or the forums. So a big thank you to all the people who helped me out and encouraged me to do this. Took a few more days than I thought it would, but I'm getting it done. Like I got it done finally. And by the way, if people who are watching this who aren't from the forums, the people that I've mentioned earlier, you know, Weirm Hero and Rin and you know all them, they are from the forums. So you know, if you didn't know, go check out the forums if you haven't. Big huge thank you, like giant thank you to Kaminari, I'm saying that right, for donating all the gameplay to this. You're an amazing person, and let's go hang out and make love. Yeah. So that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna come out with another one real soon when I can. The next subject is going to be the next subject of the intro, which would be fire and the Lord Souls. So I'll see you guys later when that happens. Goodbye.